Welcome back to Cloud Wars Live. We're digging into the digital revolution that is touching every part of our business lives, our personal lives, and if there was any space in between, I'm not sure there is anymore. We'll take a look at that as well. And we're delighted today to have the Executive Vice President of Strategy for Workday, Pete Schlampp, with us, here to give a high-level view about what Workday is seeing in the market and how Workday then is tying its product portfolio to those new and emerging needs. Pete, welcome. It's great to see you.
Bob, great to see you again. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So, Pete, you ran the product development business at Workday for a while, and a few months ago, you switched over to the strategy role. Just love to hear from you. What does that mean? How's that tying in?
Yeah, well, I joined Workday about over 5 years ago via an acquisition of this company called Platfora, which was exciting. I ran the analytics business for a while, and then product development, and now strategy, which is really exciting. I think the last few years have just provided all of these changes in the world of business, and things like the rise of the employee voice and employee experience being so important. Digital transformation, CFOs trying to capture new technologies like AI and ML and really automating their business. All of these things have really changed the way that business leaders think about their business. And at Workday, we have all of these opportunities out ahead of us. For me, in this new role of Chief Strategy Officer, I get to help us kind of pick the right path through there. And I'm, really humbled to have the opportunity to do it for such a cool company.
Yeah. Pete, that's got to be a lot of fun out there. And I wonder, it's always been an interesting possibility, but from the mindset of some of your customers broadly, everybody's being pushed to move faster, get closer to customers, move into new growth areas. What's your sense, Pete, about among customers, their mindset? Are they looking to Workday to help them solve problems or create opportunities, or more likely, what's the mix of both of those things?
Yeah, I think it's some of both. I think really customers come to us mostly because they feel there's this gap between what is expected of them these days. I think everybody felt it when we all went home and the world changed and we had to all of a sudden do all of our jobs at home, and businesses said, how am I going to be able to do this? Everything's moving faster. Everybody's at home. How am I going to be able to do this? So customers come to us and they say, help us with that, right? We've called that the acceleration gap, kind of the gap between what customers need to do and they tell us they need to do and what they feel like they're able to do with their existing systems. And so, that to me is kind of one of the primary things that we help customers do is close that acceleration gap. Mm-hmm. But many customers come to us as well and they say, hey, I've got a new business model, like subscriptions, I'll just say, moving from kind of a pay at once business model to subscription-based business model. And they say, hey, help us with that. And so we're able to apply new technology solutions to help them solve those things too. So it's a bit of a variety.
Yeah, and I wonder they start to tie together in some ways there, Pete, because I thought it was so interesting what you said about the acceleration gap. 6 months ago, I had merged Cloud Wars with another company, and the new initiative we're into now, we call it the acceleration economy. So I sure sense that too. And the big businesses we talk to, they are sort of desperately trying to find ways, how do they get new insights into the types of future products we should create, the types of engagement models, are there new businesses almost, that business models and new industry sectors, right? Those walls that were so rigid before seem to be coming down. And love to get your thoughts on, how Workday helps companies make those, this acceleration move into new types of opportunities.
Yeah. Well, I worked as a 15-year-old company, but at the same time, the technology is continuously new and innovative inside, and so that's kind of one of our values is innovation, and so that means constantly reinventing ourselves from the inside and from a technology basis, et cetera. And so, we jump on the technologies when they come out. So I'll give you an example, Bob. So machine learning is something that we identified 5 years ago. We said we've got to really, really focus on machine learning and be able to bring that to to large enterprises. Large enterprises themselves probably weren't going to go out and hire a bunch of data scientists and machine learning engineers, et cetera, but we knew that we wanted to be able to bring that to them. So we spent a considerable amount of time figuring out, how do you do this at scale in the cloud for large enterprises? Went out, and a lot of that time was talking to customers and figuring out what the use cases were. You and I talked about this before, about being customer focused and really listening to what they needed. And then we were able to develop this new type of technology and roll it out to customers. So I really feel like having a very innovative mindset is the way that we're able to kind of bring these new solutions to customers.
Pete, that's interesting too, as you talk about it. Workday in a lot of ways doesn't seem like 15 years old. And it's almost like, what do they say, women's tennis or swimming, when you get to be, the sense of old or young is distorted there. But lots happened in 15 years, right? And you're a $5 billion company now, and the ability to address such a wide range of customer needs is pretty intense. And I think it's fascinating these days, as you mentioned earlier, Pete. It's not just the CIO, but you touch the CMO, the CEO, the CFO, of course, so viscerally. Yeah. In your role now, Pete, do you get to have conversations with those folks? And again, love to hear your perspectives on what they're expecting from Workday.
Yeah, so I do, which I'm lucky to do, and I think that that's part of the reason that I'm in this job now, is because when I was in the product role, I really focused on talking to customers, and so I spent a lot of time going out and speaking to our CHRO customers and our CFO customers and the CIOs that drive these important transformational decisions for companies, and really step back and said, hey, how do we serve these customers well over the course of the next 5 years? Mm-hmm. And that's, you've got some very innovative people in those positions today. And CIOs are charged with innovating for companies, right? A lot of them said, we're unable to, with the tools and technology that we have today, we're unable to meet what we need. We need more agility. That was a really big, that's a really big common thing that we hear from people is, hey, we have a bunch of things that are built on premises and all of these static processes that we implemented 20 years ago. We need a way to move to a new world. They need security. They need privacy. They need to think about this new world of ESG that they haven't needed to think about before. And they want to make it all happen a lot faster than they're able to do it. And so, the first part of my job, Bob, was really a listening tour. It was both an internal and an external listening tour, and hearing what our customers needed to do, and basically also I'll tell you what my boss Anil and Shano wanted us to do as well. And so helping us chart that course for $10 billion is one of the key things I'm trying to do now.
Yeah. Pete, I'm going to pause here for a second and offer a word from our sponsor, BMC. We all know what the A game is, right? Among athletes, it's the highest level of performance, and you can get to that level in business as well. BMC calls this the autonomous digital enterprise. It's when technology and people work in harmony, and that's how your business, reaches its A game. You can find out more at bmc.com/A game. Pete, what you were describing there, that sense of change, of innovation, of growth, of becoming the sort of company we need to be in this digital future as well. I think one of the most interesting, I think this is a fairly cutting edge trend here among tech vendors and customers, is this sense of co-creation, right? Where you see, and especially as these more industry specific capabilities come out, where you see a customer say, hey, I've got the real deep domain expertise. You've got incredible technology capability. Can we build something together that neither of us could have done individually? Love to get your thoughts on that, Pete.
Yeah, I 100% see the same thing that you're seeing there, Bob. And so that's why in the last couple of years, we've released Workday Extend, which helps our customers create on top of the Workday platform. And that's really kind of taking together all of the tools that Workday developers can use and making them available for our customers to use, right? And we also kind of put together in that same package, we also put Prism Analytics, which allows customers to bring in all of their data from their operational systems. We put planning, adaptive planning in that as well, because it's if you think about planning, it's very much this horizontal platform for you to do any type of work that you want. And so when you put those things together, you have this platform to be able to solve problems on top of the Workday platform. Yeah. And in the last year, we've released several solutions. Many of them have been co-created in conjunction with our partners. Some of them, for instance, our vaccine management solution, which was all about getting employees to be able to get our customers to be able to get their employees back to work. We had a healthcare demand solution that we created in conjunction with some customers. Our valuing equity, belonging, and equity and diversity solutions as well were co-created with our customers. So those are all some examples of things that we've done. The other thing that you talked about, Bob, there is industry, and I think that's a really interesting thing that's happening in our industry right now as well. Customers want to work with a partner that understands their industry. And so being able to go to them and say, hey, it's not that you're just a CFO, but you may be a CFO of a bank, or you may be the CFO of a retail company, and be able to say, we have solutions specifically for you. And that's the way we think about it. We've been thinking about it that way for a while. We have co-created several solutions. Some of them are products, some of them are what I'd call solutions. We can get into the differences there. But we've co-created many of those things with customers. So I'll give you the example of Accounting Center. For instance, Accounting Center has been an incredibly successful product for us. The idea there was to take Prism, that technology I talked about bringing external data into Workday, and allowed companies, mostly in the financial services industry at first, to bring in data from operational systems, run specialized accounting rules on them, and then bring those things into the general ledger automatically. So it automated that entire process, but then carried the data from the general ledger all the way back to the operational system data, all inside Workday, tied together securely. That was, something that took us a while to build, but it was very much a co-creation process with our customers and really focused on that particular vertical at first. Now we're seeing actually success of that across other verticals. Yeah. But that's really kind of our philosophy, though, Bob, is to be able to create these industry-based solutions in conjunction with our products to solve their problems.
And Pete, just to build off that overall, and particularly what you said at the end there, I know that some of the big companies I talk to on the customer side, they say they've got a great appetite and desire, I think, for these industry-specific solutions or industry clouds, but at the same time, they have a concern that now will the tech industry do the job up front of integrating sort of the more horizontal applications that a company like Workday already has, then with these new industry clouds, or is that going to be something that the customers are going to have to, put together two different pieces? So I know you folks at Workday, talk to Indy Baines and some others, that you've really worked hard on trying to ensure that this is a smooth and easy path forward for customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just back up and say, kind of putting my strategy hat on for a second. One of my jobs is to look ahead and say, actually, maybe my most important job is to look ahead and say, what's the world going to look like 5 years from now? And when I do that and I step back, I see customers wanting not a single solution that is closed off from the rest of all of their systems, but they want to be able to integrate all of these systems together in very fluid ways. And so openness, the ability to say, yes, you might have a front office system over here, but you need it to seamlessly connect with the back office system is essential for the future, right? And also then from our perspective, we've got to bring all of the same requirements that we have around security and user experience and privacy and all those things. We still need to contemplate all those things in that open world, right? And so, I think it's really essential for customers that are thinking about the future and what choices they're making, the technology choices that they're making, that they realize that they're working with tools and technologies and partners that see the world that way. Because it's going to be a very fluid, exciting, interesting, composable, you might say, world in the future.
Pete, it's interesting as you talk about that thing of trying to look out 5 years. I think that each year, it seems over the last several years, the pace of change is increasing, it's rising. And so we get not only more changes, but the intensity of those changes is more dramatic. And I think it's interesting, a couple of years ago, but it was probably in January of 2020, before things really went nuts, I was having a conversation with the CIO of a big retail company. And in hindsight, she looks back and laughs. She says, at the time, we were really working hard on curbside pickup, curbside delivery. But she said, our view on it then was, how much can we charge for this? How much will customers be willing to spend on that sort of a luxury? And how quickly that's gone from being a new revenue stream to something that now they've got to master as part of their core capabilities. So that's got to be a fun part of your job, of trying to anticipate what things might look like in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years in a world that's changing incredibly fast. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think about my job. I'll just say my job in a technology business is so exciting. I think of it as being able to climb up to the top of a hill and look out and be able to see the future. And now I'm not, I don't have special X-ray vision or anything like that. Really, what it involves is talking to a bunch of people and seeing what they see. You can all stand on top of this hill and people can see different things, but then trying to kind of synthesize that together in one vision and one picture of the future. So again, a lot of it is a listening tour. A lot of it is synthesizing it together, saying it, talking to people and saying, does that sound right? I do think that, again, a really exciting thing about the technology world is we get to make our future, more so than, you think about the amazing technology companies that we all know and we've all experienced in our lives. And I'm a big fan. I'm a big technology fan. But the ones that I love the most are the ones that saw the future before the others and really created that future. I'm a huge Apple geek. I'll just tell you, I love their stuff, and I just have followed their what they've done over the years. And when they said people invented the smartphone before Apple, but then what Apple saw what it was going to look like, and their first version just clarified that future. Now, and we can say the same thing, and I'll say the same thing about Anil Bhusri and Dave Duffield when they said 15 years ago, HR is not going to be software that's sitting on premises in your data centers. It's going to be in the cloud, and you're going to be able to access it from wherever, and everything's going to be together. It's going to be, great user experience. That's an amazing vision as well. So anyway, I love being in technology. I love this job. Being able to talk to people and imagine what's going to be is a really fun thing to do.
That's great, Pete. And before we go, is there any, last word, anything you want to be sure to mention?
There's one thing that I think that is on the top of everybody's minds, and I think I just wanted to mention it because it's so important for all CEOs these days, which is people, right? And their employees. The battle for talent is on. I think everybody is feeling that these days. We have at Workday, we've of course been founded in being a company that sells finance and HR solutions. But really, in the last couple of years, have started focusing more and more on the employee experience and being able to help companies manage the employee experience. You'll note that we acquired a company last year called Peakon, which helped our customers listen to their employees. I think the rise of the employee voice is one of the most interesting trends that we're going through. Went through it in calendar 21. 22 is going to be really the year of the employee voice, and us making a bunch of decisions, us generally as leaders, based upon where our employees want us to go as well. So I think it's really interesting trend that I suggest we all watch.
Yeah. Yeah, Pete, I always think about that. I don't know what it was 10, 15 years ago, but I saw somebody on the street wearing a t-shirt that said, the beatings will continue until morale improves. And what a wildly different world we've come around to now. But the employee experience has to be up on parallel with the customer experience, right? Because I don't know many companies with unhappy employees who are able to deliver great customer experiences. It just, the math doesn't work.
And I think, one of the big changes that's happened recently is that it's not just about a one time a year survey to understand how people are feeling. Employees want more than that. They want to feel heard. They want a conversation. Because it's changing so fast, right? It's not just how did I feel last month? It's how's it going? Are we improving? Hey, I said that we need to improve in this area. Are we improving? So it's that constant conversation between management and employees that's really, really important. I won't even try to do the quote the right way, but it was the old leader of GE that basically told a story of needing to know where the company was going, and one of his employees that was on the manufacturing line said, if you had just asked me, I knew this the entire time. I would have been able to tell you, right? And I think that it's just such a important thing for leaders to do, is to listen to their employees to understand where the future is going as well.
Yeah. Pete, that's a great thought, great insight. And Pete Schlampp, Chief Strategy Officer at Workday, thank you so much for being with us here at Cloud Wars Live.
Thanks, Bob. It was a real pleasure.
And folks, to all of you, thank you for being with us here at Cloud Wars Live. Hope things are going well for you, and we look forward to seeing you next time.